all units. We have reports of 2 motorcycle cops protecting California's highway.
That's for us, good buddy.
The Men of Chips are on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Baker. I'm John Baker. He's Officer Baker.
He's the blonde one.
Hi there!
Officer Poncherello, man.
Frank Poncherello.
Oh, I'm Frank Poncherello.
And he's the one who's Eric Estrada.
There's no way I wouldn't remember a name like that.
Catch the blonde one and the one who's Eric Estrada on
Now on
Chips.
MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country, the only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
You can find movies on over-the-air channel 13.3. Movies. Our name says it all.
Hi, I'm John Mallows. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. It's on the air, off the presses. Today we'll be talking about a lot of different things. Hey, how about Jordan Spieth? How about Hillary Clinton? And also that police shooting in South Carolina. A whole host of items to talk about here on the table today on Connect with Me. 436 MeTV, option 11. Back in a moment. Yes, my friends, it is on the air, off the presses on this Monday morning, as it usually is here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. We'll be talking about a whole host of things here on the table today on the program. But first, it's time to remind you that every Monday through Friday, you are watching us right now as I speak live on Comcast Channel 187, 43.6 and 13.1 as usual. And then later in the day, the replay occurs at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on 13.6, that's YouTube, and then 8 o'clock tonight on 4.6 Biz TV. You can also follow me on Twitter if you so choose at John Mallows Me TV. All right, time to get to a lot of the topics that we're going to talk about today. Let's first of all talk about the Masters that took place yesterday. An incredible finish, wire to wire. He was leading Jordan Spieth. Let's put up his picture. There he is, 21 years old. Incredible victory at the Masters yesterday. He finished at 18 under par. Phil Mickelson was at 14, Rory McIlroy at -12, Tiger Woods way back at -5, but Spieth becomes the youngest player to win the Masters since Tiger Woods did it back in 1997, and he also tied Tiger Woods' record of 18 under par yesterday, winning the green jacket. Bubba Watson presented that jacket to him inside the Butler Clubhouse at the Masters in Augusta, Georgia. The other topic we'll be talking about today, Hillary Clinton running for president. She made the announcement over the weekend via the internet and YouTube with that YouTube video and announcement. She's 67 years old. We know about Clinton fatigue. We know about all the Clinton scandals. We know about the emails. We know about Benghazi. But she is starting her campaign in Iowa, I believe, later this week. Then it's on to New Hampshire. Live in our studio right now to talk about Jordan Spieth, Hillary Clinton, the police shooting in South Carolina, is Dennis Hart. He's our media expert here on Mondays on the air, off the presses. You're welcome to call in and weigh in. We'll also talk about Bob Schieffer at CBS News announcing his retirement and how that will affect the landscape of the news media. We're encouraging your calls today, 436-ME-TV, option 11. Hey, call in and weigh in. As usual, your comments are welcome. Back in a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Euronews, most watched news channel in Europe.
Back here on the program, connect with me on Me TV Fresno. Dennis Hart is here. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Golf today. What are we doing today?
How you doing, man?
All right, I'm
Good to
doing
see you.
fine. Thank you. It's been a week since I was last here.
Yeah, I
great.
know. Happy Greek Easter to you, by the way.
Thank you very
and
much.
Kopi. You and Kopi.
All right, thank you very much. Kopi, who I grew up with in the same neighborhood in Fresno. Yeah, where is the Kopi today? Why isn't he
Well,
here?
yesterday was Greek Easter, so you know he was out cooking a lamb.
Probably so. Yes, yes.
Hey, so what I was riveted yesterday by watching this guy Jordan Spieth
Jordan
just
Spieth.
rip through the course, 18 under par. Let's put his picture up again. This young guy, 21 years old. What do you think, Dennis?
I think he's the next great superstar in America, and what a great rivalry it's going to be between Jordan Spieth, at 21, the second youngest winner in the history of the Masters, and Rory McIlroy, who is the current best golfer in the world. These two are going to be ranked number 1 and number 2 after this week. McIlroy number 1, of course, and Spieth number 2. And I'm excited because you know what? It harkens back to the days of Sam Snead and Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. We are going to have this rivalry. McIlroy's only 25, Spieth is 21. They're going to be at the top of their game for the next 10 or 15 years, and gosh, it's going to be fun to watch. It is just what the golf game needs right now.
You know, I'm just wondering, because he's only 21 years old, if maybe he doesn't even, you know, maybe his brain is not developed enough to realize that he should have been nervous on the final day of the Masters, and he really didn't appear to be that nervous.
Right, and you know, he had led after every round of the Masters, which meant that the spotlight was on him from the first round on. That's almost unprecedented. Woods has not done that. Woods has always come from behind to win the Masters. But, you know, it's so interesting that this kid held up. I thought he might fold up like an accordion yesterday. I really did. I told some friends, wow, he's 21. He's leading the Masters, one of the big 4 tournaments.
Yeah.
He held up magnificently. It was beautiful to see. And I also predicted, by the way, that Rory McIlroy, I said this, told my wife this yesterday, he would shoot a 66 yesterday. He'd put himself right back in it. He did. He shot a 66. Tiger Woods folded, etc. He's pretty much finished. But that's, you know, it's just exciting to see this kid out there. That's what he is. He's a kid, 21 years old.
Maybe that's why he didn't realize the pressure. Maybe he's just too young to realize the pressure. Is that possible?
I don't know. I was feeling the pressure. I was sweating watching it.
Well, that's because you and I are old as dirt.
Well, I can't play
We know the pressure. We know the pressure.
It was a great victory, and it really heralds great things for the game of golf, which needs it right now. Which needs it.
Yeah, my heartstrings were being pulled on Thursday morning when I watched Nicklaus player, and of course Arnold Palmer. Tee off at the Masters to open the Masters.
Yes.
It was amazing.
They always have the 3 oldest guys, legends, leading off the Masters. For years, it was Byron Nelson and Sam Snead teeing off. And now it's Nicklaus, Palmer, and player. And, of course, Arnold is the oldest. He's 85 years old. And you bet. I remember when Arnold Palmer won the U.S. Open in 1960 and electrified the country. The first golfer in the TV era. And he's the guy who everybody really owes because he's the guy who was telegenic, who the TV cameras focused on. He was the first guy in the TV era. And everything that came after that, Jack Nicklaus and Johnny Miller, and of course Tiger Woods, owes Arnold Palmer that great, great debt. And, you know, he's 85 years old. I'm glad he's still out there. Nicklaus is 10 years younger, and Player's about that same age. But, yeah, to see them out there, you realize they're not going to be around all that much longer.
Yeah, a great day, of course, in the world of golf yesterday as Jordan Spieth, 21 years old, wins the Masters, an incredible victory. And we saw just a another final note on the Masters, and that is that Tiger Woods finished at -5. And 2 points about Tiger. One, he looks like nothing more than either an average or below average golfer, Tiger Woods. And he hurt himself yesterday.
Yep.
Swinging, I forgot what hole it was on.
Number 9.
Number 9,
yeah.
But, you know, he hurt his right arm or his shoulder.
Tiger Woods is certainly a great golfer. I mean, he may be the second or third greatest of all time. But he's 40 years old, but he's old beyond his age because of the injuries and because of what happened to him. Look, his game fell apart after he started messing around on his wife, and his wife, remember that Thanksgiving Day thing years ago? He hasn't been the same golfer since then. His marriage fell apart. His personal life fell apart. And he's been injured. He's had a couple of knee surgeries. The shoulder's been bad. The back's been bad. The arm. He, chronologically, is 40, but physically, he's probably about 55 or 60. And I can guarantee you 55 and 60-year-old golfers do not win the Masters. It's shocking to think his last major tournament win was 8 years ago, 32 years old. Who would have guessed then? He would never win another major. He was right there on the cusp of, passing Jack Nicklaus, who's the all-time major winner at 18. Woods has had 14 for 8 years. He's not going to win another one. He's done.
Yeah, his career could be over as far as being a major top 5 player in the world.
Because too many younger golfers have come up, and they're just playing better than he is, and they're not going to be denied. You're not going to deny Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, Justin Rose, Jason Day. You're not gonna beat those guys. They're ready. They're in their prime. They're better than he is.
And they're young. Hey, let's move on. Another big event took place yesterday in the world of politics this time, and it was Hillary Clinton, 67 years old. Of course, she was, I think, how would you describe her as First Lady? There she is right there. She announced yesterday via the internet an email coming from John Podesta, of all people. Remember him?
Yeah.
And then that YouTube video coming from Hillary announcing that she would run for president in 2016.
Yeah, well, she was
all right, Dennis, here we go.
Yeah, and let's be clear about Hillary Clinton before we go off the rails here. She's going to get the Democratic Party nomination. She is by far in the strongest position of any non-incumbent to ever seek her party's nomination. She leads every Republican in every poll at this point. She is the odds-on favorite to be the next president of this country. She is going to be a powerhouse. She is universally known. She's not universally liked, but that doesn't matter. She doesn't need universal liking. She just needs a majority or a plurality of people. If you were to be a betting man, if you were to bet today, on this day, April 13th, 2015, who the next president is, my money's on her.
I don't know. So what about Ted Cruz? What about Jeb Bush? What about Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Scott Walker?
The only Republican who has a shot against her is Jeb Bush.
Really? Why?
Because Ted Cruz is a right-wing nutcase. Marco Rubio is a right-winger. Nobody knows Scott Walker. Scott Walker is a college dropout. He's not going to be taken seriously. Look, let's get real serious about this. I know that everybody says they don't want to see Bush versus Clinton. Jeb Bush is the only mainstream Republican, the only one who has a shot at beating Hillary Clinton, because he's not a crazy, because the business part of the Republican Party, the money part of the Republican Party, the part of the party that can actually govern wants him to be the nominee. If it's Bush versus Clinton, he's got a shot. Nobody else has a shot.
All right. We're going to talk more about Hillary Clinton. We want you to join the conversation if you want to weigh in about the presidential race coming up in 2016. In all the candidates, Hillary Clinton is now officially in as a 2016 candidate. 436 MeTV option 11. We're back in just a moment. At 20/20 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 20/20 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
A top secret location It's the spies who love me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring.
That's right.
Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar?
Possibly.
And smart?
Yellow finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
We're back here on the program on Connect with Me, talking politics. We got a call coming out here talking about Hillary Clinton, of course, in the race as of yesterday. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. You know, I would say that Clinton does have a good shot right now, but that's been there's a long time between now and the election, and if you look at all the front runners throughout the last 40 years, when they started out, they weren't front runners. They were somewhere in the path. I was wondering what happened to Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden. Nobody's talked about him at all. And is he planning not to run, or what's happening with him?
Right. Joe Biden would very much like to run, but he has absolutely no shot against Hillary Clinton. He's largely perceived as a joke. He doesn't have Hillary's background in terms of the money, in terms of the political backing. Virtually all of President Obama's backers who supported him in 2008 are now behind Hillary Clinton. She's got virtually all of the money locked up. The Democratic Party does not have a backup plan. You're absolutely correct that front runners have traditionally had a difficult time, but she's a different front runner. She has no serious opposition in the Democratic Party. None, zero, none. So she's got the nomination. She's got the overwhelming support of the party by every poll. Democrats want her to be the nominee. Now there could be, her health could play into it. There could be unforeseen circumstances, the unknown unknowns, no question about that. But given what we know today, on this April 13th, the fact that she has no serious opposition in the Democratic Party, the fact that in every poll, she's leading every potential Republican, she's got a good bet to be the next president. She does.
All right. Caller, are you there? Go ahead.
Hey, I didn't catch the name of your guest there, but I'm really taking exception to his remarks about the far right wing, especially in comparison to some old washed-up hag like Hillary Clinton, who inspires really nobody unless you're very far to the left. If your guest would kindly go over the 2014 numbers here in the state of California and see how the GOP kind of steered the right into this Neil Kashkari disaster, that's not what conservatives want. And the GOP has a platform. The candidates should stick with that platform. People like Jeb Bush do not adhere to that platform. And so, again, I'm just calling in because I was really offended by his remarks about Republicans. Thank you.
Well, hang with me. My name is Dennis, by the way. You asked who I was. Republicans have to make a choice, and conservatives have to make a choice in 2016. You accurately say that Jeb Bush does not adhere to a right-wing platform. He's a more moderate Republican. However, no right-wing part of the Republican Party can possibly win the presidential election. You talk about California. Republicans have no chance of winning in California because Democrats control the state here. So it doesn't really matter whom the Republicans nominate, but I can guarantee you that Ted Cruz is not going to win California. May make you feel good in terms of being the right-wing, doctrinaire person, but that person can't win the election. So the question is, do you want to win an election and govern, or do you want to feel good about losing? Republicans have to make that choice, no question about it.
Caller, go ahead. You're on the air on Connect with Me.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. You're on the air.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a question for your guest. I keep hearing people say, especially the opposition, that since if Hillary has no primary challenge, that she's not going to be battle tested like the Republican nominee. But my whole thing on that is, I think that it's better for her not to have a challenge, because if you have so many guys running on the Republican side, there's no way they can answer every single question right. So she's going to be able to have her people, take notes, see what this nominee did or didn't do right, and she's going to have a whole bunch of questions for that nominee because he's not going to answer every question right when people are trying to, they're trying to win too. So this honeymoon period, everybody's not going to play nice when there's a debate. So if you're Hillary, you just take notes, and when that guy comes around, you got about 5 or 6, 7 questions, maybe that over the course of debates, he didn't answer maybe to the liking of the public. So she's going to have that advantage where she can figure out what they're going to, they're already, taking shots at her. She's going to be able to say, well, these are the things they're going to come at you at. She's going to be able to practice those things while they're just going to have to figure out how to get out of their own side.
Well, you're absolutely right. You make a good point, caller.
That's a great call.
The Republicans are going to eat themselves alive during the debate here. Okay, let's face it. Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Scott Walker are not going to play nicey-nicey with each other. They're going to eat each other alive and expose each other's weaknesses because somebody has to win that.
The main target in that, all that is going to be Jeb Bush.
Yeah, Jeb Bush. Look, Jeb Bush is on one side of the party. Jeb Bush, and let me be clear about this, I think he'd be the strongest candidate for the Republicans against Hillary Clinton because he's the best known. All right? And these other guys are... Let's get real. We criticize Barack Obama because he was a first-term senator. What is Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and Rand Paul? What are they? First-term senators with no other experience. Did you know that one?
I know.
Scott Walker is a governor of a state that nobody cares about, Wisconsin, okay?
Well, did anybody care about Arkansas when Clinton ran?
Right. No, that's correct.
So
that's correct.
Governors traditionally have a better shot at getting
right,
in.
But not when you have a Jeb Bush running against you, okay?
Yeah.
And Jeb Bush is widely known, and he is the more moderate of the candidates. And the Republicans have to decide. I come back to this one. And let me be very clear before anybody calls in. I am not a Hillary Clinton supporter. I'm here to analyze.
Right.
Hillary Clinton's in an incredibly strong position for the nomination and for the presidency. The only way, in my opinion, the Republicans have a shot against her a year from now is if they nominate somebody who's not from the right wing of the party, not pure, but somebody who is more moderate, who can reach out to independents, who has a prayer of getting blacks, women, gays. None of the other candidates have a shot at that. Jeb Bush does. So the Republicans have to decide, do they want to be pure and lose the election, or do they want to have a shot at winning against Hillary?
Yeah, I will say this. We do have a caller. Hang on a second. I want to say this about Jeb Bush. They're going to go after him on his stance on amnesty. He is in favor of immigration and legalizing all of these people that are here in this country.
No, he's not. He's in favor.
He is in favor.
He's in favor of a process of bringing them in because no one...
But they're going to go after him for that.
Right, they are. But no one is going to deport 11 million people. All these guys are crazy
Ted
out there.
Cruz wants that.
Well, you think that's going to happen? Are we really going
to
round
he's going to go after Bush on
Right,
that.
but you can't win an election doing that. You can only get crazy talk show hosts or cable TV in favor.
You're calling me crazy.
if the shoe fits, right?
Hey, caller, are you there? Go ahead. Caller?
Yes, a question to Dennis. Dennis, let me ask you. The way that Hillary will win is if they get the Hispanics and the African Americans like they did when Obama first came out.
Yes.
If they get those votes in, she would win in a landslide.
Yes.
There's no in it for buts. And of course, with the former president being on her side, that's money in the bank.
Which former president? Which former president, her husband or Mr. Obama?
Both. But no, what I'm saying is Obama promised a lot of things. That's politics, okay? he promised a lot, but I think Hillary has got all the backing, number one.
Yes, she does.
They're going to throw stuff at her about the Benghazi and everything else, okay?
Yes, they are.
That's just the way it is. But, Dennis, do you think, in reality, let's say Ron Paul was the only one that they would back up. Forget Jeb Bush. But I think Ron Paul would be a good one. But you know who would I wanted her to go is Rice. If she would have gone out against Hillary, I think there would have been a real good one-on-one.
Well,
you know?
Condoleezza Rice is, along with Hillary, certainly one of the most recognizable people in the country. I agree with you that it's too bad she isn't running because she's smart, she's a Republican, she's a black woman, etc.
But they would have raked her over the coals because she's not a liberal like Hillary Clinton? How dare she be an African American?
Well,
how dare she be a female and be a conservative?
Well, first of all,
how dare she?
Well, that's just politics, okay? That's just politics. That's the way it goes. The Republicans, I come back to who the Republicans, what do the Republicans want to do? Do the Republicans want to be a talk radio party? Here's a talk radio party, and that's what they are right now. Every day you tune into Rush Limbaugh or Fox News, and it's the same thing. Obama is Satan. Obama isn't an American. Obama doesn't believe in America. He's been elected twice. They're still running against him, and they can't beat him.
Well,
okay?
he is talking to one of the Castros down there in Cuba, but he won't talk to Netanyahu, one of our allies.
Well, Netanyahu came in and embarrassed him, and he's not going to talk to him. So here's the bottom line. Do the Republicans want to be a talk radio party? Let's nominate a Ted Cruz who has no chance of winning, by the way, none. Nor does Rand Paul, nor does Scott Walker. Jeb Bush does. Or do they want to be a party that actually can win, can govern if elected, or do they just want to feel good about losing? I suspect really the talk radio folks want to feel good about losing. We're going to nominate a pure guy. Boy, we're going to nominate a Ted Cruz. He wants to deport 11 million people. Never going to happen, but it makes us feel good to listen to talk radio. That's just garbage.
We got to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Clinton fatigue.
Yes.
And we'll talk about also the fact, are you going to vote for her because she's a woman? You want the first woman? Is that more important over all the issues that are on the table right now? 436 MeTV option 11. Call in, weigh in, back in a moment. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. We need your help to capture this fugitive. Julio Cesar Guevara Mejia is wanted by the FBI in Sacramento for the attempted murder of a 19-year-old female in November of 2007. Police say he lured the young woman to a hotel room where he shot her 3 times in the chest. He could be in Palm Springs, California or Houston, Texas. Contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any information.
All right, back here on the program, talking about Hillary Clinton running for president. I got a question for you, Dennis.
Well,
and
all
maybe we can generate some calls about this. Charles C. Johnson, he's been a guest here. You know, he's the internet journalist that's broken all these stories and everything. He picked Ted Cruz to be the next president. He also says Cruz will blow away any other Republican candidate in any debate, anywhere, anytime. He needs no teleprompter.
Well, what is he? Well, that's cute, but what does that mean? Blow them away, making blowtorch comments about how immigrants ought to leave the country and how we got to take the country back. No.
Well, some of that resonates with conservatives.
Well, of course they do, but the conservatives, I come back to.
I'm not talking about Rush Limbaugh. I'm talking about conservative.
I'm talking about the Republican Party right now.
Okay, all right.
They have to make a choice. The choice being, do you want to have a feel-good candidate who's going to lose 48 states to Hillary, but you'll go down in flames and you'll feel really good about yourself, or do you want somebody who can actually win? Ted Cruz cannot win. Rand Paul cannot win. Don't believe me. Look at the polls. Hillary Clinton is annihilating them in the polls.
She's almost in a dead heat, according to one CBS poll I saw with Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush is the only one who has a shot because
they're like
reaches
neck and
out.
neck.
Yes. Well, haven't I just been saying that all program? Jeb Bush is the Republicans' best chance, in my opinion, to beat Hillary Clinton. Now, Jeb Bush is a moderate on immigration. We're not going to deport 11 million people. Get over it. They're here. Forget it, okay? Right. We're not going to bomb Iran, okay? Get over it. That's a talk radio thing. Some Republicans want perpetual warfare, apparently. Jeb Bush is an adult. His lineage is pretty sterling. I mean, whether you agreed with his father or his brother, et cetera, he's got the best shot because he can reach out. He can do something that no other Republican can get. Do you think Rand Paul can get blacks to vote for him? Can Rand Paul get gays to vote for him? Can Rand Paul get women to vote for him? Not going to happen. But Jeb Bush could.
I want to put Clinton's picture up on the screen one more time. And I want to talk about some of the issues that are near and dear to her that date back probably to the... I've been hearing these issues since I was a kid, dating back to the 60s when Johnson was in office, okay?
Right.
Here's what's important to Hillary.
Sure.
Equal pay for women, paid family leave and medical, higher minimum wage, affordable child health care. Those are the 4 top most important issues to Hillary?
Well, no,
really?
those are important issues. She hasn't indicated what her issues are yet.
That's according to John Podesta. These are some of the top 4.
She has not indicated anything about why she's running or what the rationale is for her to run. She just announced yesterday in a 2.5-minute video.
John Podesta is right or wrong?
Well, John Podesta is probably right that those are important to her. That doesn't indicate she's not going to be very big on By the way, which of those would you disagree with? Equal pay for women? You don't disagree with any of them?
No, I don't disagree with any of them. I'm trying to tell you, are those the 4 most important? Isn't Iran more important?
Of course
Isn't the fact that we're trying to get the economy back on track
of course.
A little more important?
Well, what part of equal pay for women isn't an economic thing? What part of paid leave for maternity isn't an economic thing? Those are all economic things that she's
I'm not against it, but why not try to balance the budget? Why not try to fix the healthcare system? Because Obamacare is broken to a certain extent.
Yes.
Why not try to fix our image across the globe? Foreign affairs is our image has been tarnished the last 8 years.
She just announced in a 2-minute video yesterday. She hasn't said anything. She hasn't made a speech yet. She hasn't made any speech as a presidential candidate.
John Podesta.
Well, don't quote John Podesta. You just quoted some other cretin when you were talking about how Rand Paul's going to become president.
She's the chair of Clinton's campaign.
So Hillary Clinton is going to be a powerhouse candidate, and you know this, and you know that she's the odds-on favorite to win the presidency.
Right.
She just is, whether you agree with her or not.
All right. You know how much money that she's expected to raise, according to what I read yesterday? $2.5 billion.
Doesn't surprise
with
me
a B, $billion between now and the election.
Now, the caller, though, the last caller had a very good point. He said, is there a downside to her not having any primary opposition in the Democratic Party? I think there is the likely downside that, yes, she's not going to be as honed by the debate as the Republicans will be. The Republican's going to be a survivor who comes out of the primary. It's going to be brutal for the Republican Party. It's going to be brutal. They are going to be survivors. It's not necessarily a good thing to be only a survivor, though. You need to be strong. You need not to have been tarnished, et cetera, et cetera. So there's an upside and a downside to her not having primary opposition. I mean, she's going to have this Martin O'Malley, a former governor of Maryland, who's probably going to toss his hat in. He's going to get 10% of the vote. But the bottom line is she's going to have time to hone her message. She's not going to be as tarnished as she will. Republicans are not going to... They make a mistake, by the way, and you've seen it on the internet already. They've already started fighting Hillary. None of those Republican candidates has the nomination. They need to fight themselves, not Hillary Clinton. They need to worry about themselves.
Her biggest competition on the Democratic ticket will probably be Big Bird and Elmo.
Well, there is nobody else.
I mean, there's nobody else.
Right.
Okay, put her picture up on the screen because I want to go through some of the Clinton scandals. Are these going to loom large during the campaign? Benghazi, the emails. All right, let's go back to the 90s with all the Clinton scandals. The Hillary Care and the secrecy. Remember when Bill Clinton held up that card in his first State of the Union? How about Whitewater, Filegate, the FBI background checks, and removing files from Vince Foster's office after he was... hang on. I'm not done.
Oh, but
Rose
you're
Law
done.
Firm,
You're done.
billing records.
You're done.
No, renting the Lincoln bedroom. Charlie Tree, Johnny Chung, Monica Lewinsky, impeachment, Pardongate, and the Bosnian airport sniper lie. Those are some of the Clinton scandals.
You are talking about...
Come on.
Wait a minute, hang on a second.
Come on.
Hang on a second.
Charlie Tree, he's not going to matter?
No one in the world knows what you're talking about right now.
I do.
Yeah, but you don't count. Your viewers count. Those are 20-year-old things. No one in the world cares. Now, what's
Nobody
going to be...
cares what happened to the Rose Law Firm billing records?
Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Now, here's what's going to count. Here's what the Republicans will play on. Here's what the Republicans will play on. They will try to make something of Benghazi, though every investigation has shown she did nothing wrong in Benghazi. There's nobody who's shown anything, and those have been Republicans investigating her. By the way, I'm not giving Hillary Clinton a pass. I have Hillary Clinton fatigue. You know, I'm a little weary of, I have Jeb Bush fatigue. The Clinton-Bush thing seems to go on and on. But in the absence of any viable candidates to oppose Jeb Bush, and I mean viable, not crazies, in the absence of any viable candidates to oppose Hillary Clinton, it is what it is. We have Jeb Bush versus Hillary Clinton. And Hillary's going to be formidable. Yeah.
Right. I could just see if she gets in the White House that she'll be renting out the Lincoln bedroom and Bill Clinton will be in the background playing the sax. Okay, we got a call coming in. You like that, Dennis?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Mello, Mr. Hart.
Good morning.
I do agree that the public really is not aware of all the scandals, or at least they're not going to be aware of it when they go to vote. Because it happened so long ago.
20 years ago.
You know, I'm kind of on Dennis' side about that. But I think this election is more of who would you rather have, not who would you have as president. Like, who would you rather have, Bush or Clinton? And it's going to be a coin flip for a lot of the independents because it's going to be kind of hard. You know, it's not going to be, I want this as president, I want her as president, I want him as president. It's going to be more of a who would you rather have?
Hey, caller, I got to ask you a question. Stay on the line there. How old are you, by the way? Just let me ask.
I'm 27.
Okay.
So
do you remember the Clinton scandals in the 90s, or were you too young?
Oh, I remember. Oh, yeah. Well, I may have been too young to have anything to do with it, but I am definitely old enough to remember.
So you don't think they'll play a role in the upcoming election, huh?
Not really. I think it's just they're going to remember the name Clinton and the name Bush.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Nobody cares about Charlie Tree or Lincoln.
Johnny Chung.
Nobody cares about that. That's 20 years stuff. Everybody, it's a dead issue. You're absolutely correct. Now, Clinton and Bush, nobody gets exactly what they want in that one, okay? Hillary Clinton is not beloved by the far left of her party. Believe me, they'd rather have Elizabeth Warren. She is not, as John would like to say, a liberal. She's a moderate Democrat. She would have a much more potent foreign policy than Barack Obama does, okay? She would not let Iran get by with too much. She's going to have a much more potent foreign policy. She is not Barack Obama's favorite. Remember, he beat her in the primaries 8 years ago. Now, Jeb Bush is not the beloved guy on the right wing of the Republican Party. You don't want people who are left-wingers and right-wingers running because you can't govern with that. Congress is, in general terms, moderate. You govern this country by compromise, not by being blowtorch.
Well, that hasn't happened in the last how many umpteen years?
Because the Republican Party has turned itself into a talk radio party.
But it's not only the Republican Party; it's the Democratic Party. They both have to come to the table and come to terms.
They both have to compromise. That's correct.
They both have to compromise, and I don't think they've done that since Clinton was in office.
I think you're right. I think the Republicans have been taken over largely by the right-wingers.
Yeah.
Democrats have been taken over to a great extent by left-wingers. And bear in mind, Jeb Bush, if you tuned in right now, and don't do it because we're on TV and we want you to watch this, but if you tuned in to Rush Limbaugh right now, you know what he'd be doing? He'd be bashing two people, Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush. He doesn't like either of them. He wants the pure right to run, and he'd rather lose than govern. And that's not the way politics should work or has to work in this country.
All right, we're going to continue our conversation here, and do the Clinton scandals matter at all from the 90s, 20 years ago when Bill was in office? 436-MeTV, option 11. Do call in, do weigh in. We're here for another 4 minutes or so. Back in a moment.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today. You know, I I keep saying this, and I've said this for weeks, but our friend out there, Dr. Thomas Casagrande, the owner of 2020 Optometrics, we want to thank him for his sponsorship. I've got to get out there. I don't know what's wrong with me. I guess it's old age. Everything just looks fuzzy to me.
You want to borrow my glasses right
now?
No,
I don't want the Coke bottle. I don't want the Coke bottle version.
No Coke bottle. Wait,
hey, we got a caller here. I'll save the Coke bottles until I'm about 80.
These are not Coke bottles. These are fine. What are you
Caller, are you there? Go ahead. Caller?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Good morning, John. Yes, I have a question. Just because Hillary is a woman, do you think she will go with Obamacare or with Obamacare? I was recently, just sky high, and my insurance went up. So I don't know if this is going to continue with her or not,
No, Hillary will be in favor of, she's in favor of Obamacare, universal health care. Remember when she was First Lady, when her husband was president, she led the first effort to get universal health care, and it failed in the United States.
Right. That I talked about earlier.
Yeah, that's no issue. But now, Obamacare is going to be tweaked, and she would probably be in favor of tweaking it because there are some inequities. It's not perfect, et cetera, et cetera. But no, she's not going to do anything to get rid of Obamacare. That would go against the Democratic Party policy, and she's not going to do that. She's going to be a stronger president if she becomes president than Barack Obama has been in many ways, foreign policy being one of them. Think about this. As a woman, she cannot be perceived to be weak at all. She will not take as much or be as deferential to a lot of foreign enemies as Barack Obama has been, because like Margaret Thatcher, when she was Prime Minister of Great Britain in the 1990s, she cannot be perceived as being weak because she's a woman. No. We'll have a stronger foreign policy under Hillary Clinton than we did under Barack Obama.
Well, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are not close.
No.
I got to tell you that right now.
They don't like each other.
They do not like each other. It's the Clintons and the Obamas. You remember in 2008 when she ran against him, the rift between the Clintons and Obamas. Well, what about Clinton fatigue? Isn't the country just fatigued and just overwhelmed and just a little bit tired of the Clintons?
Well, I think so. I think that's the case, probably of the Bushes too. But look, at the end of the day, those people have risen to the top of the political scale here. They're still the guys and gals
hanging around
who people apparently want to vote for. Hillary Clinton. See, I was going back to Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton has 60% support right now in the Democratic Party among all of the potential primary candidates. She beats every Republican out there, and only Jeb Bush comes close. That's why I think the Republicans would be wise, and I'm certainly not the one to give Republicans or Democrats any advice. I'm just here analyzing. If they want to have a shot at beating Hillary Clinton, it's with Jeb Bush. That would be a heck of a race, by the way. A lot of people in the middle would say, wait a minute, they're very similar on a lot of issues. Who do I vote for? Who should I vote for? It's their best shot at it.
And you got to wonder if George W. Bush, I wonder if his friendship with Bill Clinton would be affected if this race came about.
This is a very interesting thing, that the Clintons and the Bushes have become, as you know, friends.
Very good friends.
The father is friends with Bill Clinton.
The son is good friends with Bill Clinton.
That's right. They are friends. And this is going to be an interesting race because there's no personal animus, no personal hatred between Hillary and Jeb. There's none.
No. There isn't.
They agree on many, many things.
Including amnesty.
They're in the broad center of American politics, which virtually every winning candidate has been at. That's where you have to be in order to win in politics.
We're going to move on, but Jeb Bush has one up on her. He speaks Spanish. She doesn't.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting race if it's those two.
Hey, another newsmaker over the weekend, I think, was Bob Schieffer, 78 years old, the host of Face the Nation. The last 24, 25 years announced that he is going to retire from CBS News this coming summer. Here is the announcement from Bob Schieffer.
I'm going to announce that after 58 years in journalism, which started right here at TCU, that I'm going to retire this summer. I wanted to make this announcement here because really this is where my professional life started. I got a job while I was a sophomore at TCU at a small radio station. Paid $1 an hour. Overtime was 90 cents an hour. And I thought it was the best job in the whole world. I worked 44 hours a week that summer, and during my during my junior and senior year, went off to the Air Force, where I also had a series of journalism jobs, editing various military publications. Came back to Fort Worth, and because the night police reporter at the Star-Telegram, Phil Ruckert, was being promoted to night city editor, he had known me from covering car wrecks at the radio station and recommended me to take his place. I went to work as a night police reporter for the Star-Telegram. That led, I guess, to my most famous story, the story when I was on the desk the day that President Kennedy was shot.
All right, Bob Schieffer, veteran reporter, 78 years old, 46 years at CBS News. Yep. What do you make of this?
Well, you know, he's leaving at the top of his game. Face the Nation is #1 on Sunday mornings. He's been a brilliant analyst for them, political analyst for decades on CBS. He is still in good health, and that's a good thing for him. It's a loss for CBS because he's been a linchpin for them over the last, as you say, 46 years. It surprised me a little bit that they acted so quickly to replace him with John Dickerson, who's been their political editor now for a number of years, as well as a Time magazine writer. Of course, he has great heritage himself. You remember Nancy Dickerson, his mother, great reporter in the 1960s for NBC. So John Dickerson's going to replace Bob. It's a big loss for them, but he's leaving at the top of his game. He's #1 on Sunday mornings, so I wish him the best. 78 years old.
Hey, I got to say this about Bob Schieffer. I respect him highly, look up to him. He's a great man, great reporter. He worked for the Fort Worth Star-Telegraph as a reporter before CBS. He covered Vietnam. He was the first, I believe, newspaper reporter to cover the Vietnam War. First newspaper reporter in Texas to cover Vietnam. He also drove Lee Harvey Oswald's mother to the police station after her son was arrested for shooting and killing John F. Kennedy.
He was a newspaper reporter who covered the Kennedy assassination on that terrible day in 1963. He's got a sterling history, never a hint of scandal. He's been a brilliant reporter. You know, you have to almost compare him to a guy we talked about a couple of months ago who's under great scandal now, and that's Brian Williams, who made up so much stuff and is now off the air as the former anchor of NBC Nightly News. They have to make a decision on whether he's going back. Here's a guy, Bob Schieffer, had nothing but plaudits, covered the biggest stories in the country for nearly 50 years, and then you have this little joker like Brian Williams who screws it all up because he has to make up stories.
Hasn't Bob Schieffer been the Rock of Gibraltar at CBS?
He has been. Well, he and, of course...
bench player,
of course,
role player, main player.
As you will remember, he's anchored the CBS Evening News many times when Dan Rather was gone. He worked during Cronkite's time on CBS. Yeah, Bob Schieffer is one of those journalists you look up to as having had an absolutely brilliant career, and you hate to see him leave because it's diminished. CBS News is diminished by his absence. He's been so good.
Yeah, Bob Schieffer retiring this summer and John Dickerson taking over for Face the Nation on CBS. Got to take a break. Our sponsorship today, thank you to Dr. Thomas Casagrande, the owner of 2020 Optometrics. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today. All right, another newsmaker over the weekend. This one involved a police shooting in North Charleston, South Carolina. And I want to roll the videotape. We're going to talk over this. I think there's a little bit of sound under it. You might be able to hear the shots. I don't know. The victim is 50-year-old Walter Scott, shot by the policeman Michael Slager. He was running away from the officer, Dennis, shot in the back 5 times. He was unarmed. I don't know what to make of this because I'm hearing 15 different stories.
Well, there's only one story to make of this. It doesn't matter whether Walter Scott was running. What matters is he was unarmed and shot in the back by a police officer. Why in the world would a traffic stop of an unarmed man ever have to result in the death penalty of a man? It is outrageous, and fortunately, somebody caught this on videotape because, as you know, the officer lied about it in his report, and this never would have gone national if somebody hadn't been there with a camera. And it also led to this cover story in this week's Time magazine, Black Lives Matter. It's the cover. It talks about a number of shootings involving officers and black people in the United States. What this is going to lead to, I mean, there's no issue about what happened here. The officer's been charged with murder. His career's done. He's going to go to prison. What's going to happen as a result of this is the next step toward an evolution that I think is good for the police and good for the United States.
Body cams.
Body cams on every police officer. Yeah. You have to have it. You're going to have to have it. It's going to make police better police. It's going to remove any doubt about what happened. Remember what the original story was, that this guy and that the police officer said.
Grabbed the taser gun. Remember?
Right.
That didn't happen.
Exactly. This guy shot at him 8 times unarmed, running away. No reason for that.
Yeah,
no reason for
and
it.
some speculate on the internet there was a bench warrant for Scott's arrest because he owed more than $18,000 in back child support.
Yeah, he owed child support.
But that's no reason to shoot somebody in the back
It became
times.
a death penalty. There's no reason to have a death penalty for this.
He was the father of 4, and Slager's life is over. He's married. His wife is pregnant.
Right.
By the way, he's in isolation right now in jail.
Let's be very clear.
He's only 33 years old.
Most police officers do a very good job. Some police officers, a minority, a very small minority, do a very bad job.
This one included.
This one was a horrifically bad job. I'm angry about this, and you should be too. Every viewer should be angry. No reason why any shots should have been fired at this guy who's running away. He was pulled over for a traffic violation, and he was gunned down by a rogue cop, in cold blood. You should be angry about this, okay?
Yes. And we don't care the color of his skin.
No,
he's a human being.
That's correct. That's correct. Now, there was another shooting, as you know, just a few days ago, and this is out of Oklahoma, and it just became news. A reserve deputy officer, 73-year-old man, stopping a black man, shoots him with what he believes to be, he says, was a taser. He killed him with his gun. How does an officer confuse a taser with a loaded gun?
I'm not defending that case, but if you talk to officers, you remember in Madera quite a few years ago, I think it was back in the 90s, there was a female officer that made that same mistake.
Yes.
She pulled her gun instead of her taser and shot a suspect in one of the cars. Don't remember the names, but I remember the case. But anyway, Dennis, go ahead.
Now, this was also a guy who was in Oklahoma on the ground.
I know.
So these are clearly cases of police overreaction. Body cams are coming. It's going to be a good thing for everybody.
Okay, last Thursday night I attended the Grizzlies home opener, 2015 version. They're now affiliated with the Houston Astros, as you know.
Yes.
Let's roll the videotape. It's called Fans. And I took some videotape of the crowd out there. Now, they announced the crowd at more than 12,000, but I was there. Dennis, it looked like to me, as you will see in this videotape here, as we get it queued up and ready to go, there it is. It looked to me like maybe, 7,000, 8,000 people in the stands?
Yeah, they always, the announced crowd has nothing whatever to do with those who actually paid to get in, as you know, John.
Yes.
Because they give away a lot of free tickets, hoping that they will buy some vendor things, buy some hot dogs and all this. Yeah, that's clearly not 12,000 people there because the stadium seats 12,000. Okay, so bottom line is they're inflating. The Grizzlies are a very difficult case right now. They have always lost money, as you know. Their latest one, they lost $600,000. It's a money-losing business.
Mm-hmm.
They are. The city would love to have new owners because these owners have kind of messed things up. Now you've got the affiliation change, and let's be very clear. And by the way, I've been to a lot of Grizzlies games, as you have.
Yeah.
I love going to the park. No one's going to go to see the Fresno Grizzlies because they're Houston Astros affiliates. Nobody.
But that's right before the first pitch. Look how many empty seats.
Right, well, that was a lie. It's not 12,000. Okay, we understand that. So the Grizzlies, this is a new thing for us, John, because all these years, the Grizzlies, people have gone to see the Grizzlies for one reason. They're a San Francisco Giants affiliate. You've gone to see future Giants. There isn't a caller out there, and I'd love you, please call the station right now. If you know one Houston Astro, call in and tell us who it is. Okay?
Jose Altuve.
Right, but who knows that? Name any Houston Astros. And here's the bottom line. It's going to be very interesting because for the first time, we're going to see whether people really want to see minor league baseball with players they don't know and have no allegiance to, or do they care more about it was always a Giants affiliate and you really went to see future Giants? And I'd like to hear from you on that. Are you still going to go even though you don't know who the players are and you don't care? There's another thing. You really don't care who's playing for the Fresno Grizzlies because you don't know them anyway. And if they get called up, they're getting called up to a team that you don't care about.
Hey,
it's going to be interesting.
Let's roll that videotape, that aerial shot that we show oftentimes here on the show of Chukchansi Park. It's that beautiful aerial.
Yes.
And it is one of the best stadiums in the minor leagues anywhere in the country. But you know how much the Grizzlies owe on that thing each year? It's $1.5 million. Last Thursday morning, Derek Franks, the general manager, went to the city council because they were supposed to vote on whether or not to cut that debt service in half, okay, until they can find either a buyer or a future investor. But the council decided to table this thing because Esmeralda Soraya was unsure about the issue, so they kind of backed off. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they'll cut it in half, Dennis? What's your inclination
I think the council has to do that because it's going to make it better for a new buyer to come in if they have an easier payment load than the current Grizzlies have. But you just mentioned, the reason I laughed isn't because of Chukchansi Park, it's because of the park and who it's named for. This would be a closed down, a shut down casino in Madera County for which there is absolutely no prospect of it reopening anytime soon. They paid $1 million a year for the naming rights, and they're shut down. There's no indication whether they're going to have any money to pay for the rights again.
Matter of fact, we got a picture of that Chukchansi Casino shut down for months now. We got a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Oh, hi, John. In reference to what you guys were talking about just a second ago, I'm a season ticket holder for the Grizzlies.
Good.
And I'm going to see them anyway because I like baseball. But if it wasn't for the fact that I like baseball, I'd have blown off my season tickets for this idiotic change. I think San Francisco pulled a big mistake, and I hope they lose every game they play.
Well, so far they've lost 4 out of 7 games. They're off to a terrible start, the Giants are. But the reason they made the move, the reason San Francisco made the move, and by the way, it's worked out for them so far, they moved to Sacramento. They replaced the A's as the AAA affiliate in Sacramento. And with all of the injured players that the Giants have right now, it's just been a much easier trek to go from Sacramento to San Francisco.
No, there's some merit to that because Sacramento is closer.
It is
about
closer.
An hour
It
and
is
a half
closer.
Or an hour and
and it's a
15
beautiful
minutes.
stadium up there. Rayleigh Field is beautiful, as you know,
no question.
in Sacramento.
But one of the other aspects to this whole story was the fact that Giants expressed concern about the safety for their players and their families in downtown Fresno at night, where that stadium is
Rayleigh
located.
Field,
remember that?
Yes, of course I do. Rayleigh Field in Sacramento is in a much better area than Chukchansi Park in downtown Fresno. And they did say there were some concerns about safety, okay, which everybody's been talking about, and the city council and the mayor have over the years said, oh, there's no problem with downtown. There's no perception problem.
Craig Sharton, come on downtown, it's safe.
There is a perception problem, and let's be clear on what that is, John. A lot of people do not like going downtown because they fear walking from the stadium to their car after dark at night. They're afraid of being accosted, etc. That's a real life perception.
If we can take this call real quick, you've got 10 seconds. What's your question, caller? 10 seconds. And
okay, real quick. First of all, I think that I see most major league teams, the AAA team is not in the same states. They're all over, and they're successful. The other point, real quickly, is that the Grizzlies have never been successful.
All right, gotta go.
Many years, maybe.
Gotta go.
You're correct.
Thank you. All right, Dennis.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Hey, a lot of interest today. A lot of news
going on. A lot of phone calls.
Well,
I'm sure we'll have some more next, whatever Monday it is that I'm back, we'll have some more.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All
Good
right.
job. Dennis Hart, our guest today. Thanks to him, and our thanks to Dr. Thomas Casagrande, the owner of 2020 Optometrics. Thanks for your sponsorship. Back tomorrow with the athletic director of Fresno State, Jim Bartko. See you then. Have a great day.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's 3 reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes 3.
Now on MeTV Fresno.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean Dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times